stuff is the standard search. It's got all of the fields you could possibly want to search on. Here you don't have to know codes. You just simply have to find the field and fill it in. So the very first thing we have is property type. So it's automatically saying residential. And then we'll just do a quick search here. We'll go down, let's do single family home. On the counties, let's look for Middlesex County. Now as she's typing, a lot of these fields that are table driven, as you type, the system will find what's close to what you're looking for. You can just click on the answer there and don't have to type it all out. Let's do 350,000 through 400,000. So obviously there's a lot of different fields. We're not going to go through all of them, but this is just a standard form search. As Mackenzie is typing, there's the number of qualified listings is showing up there on the top left. Now you'll notice there's another tab there. We've got general criteria, that's the page we're on now. And then there's another tab called additional criteria. So the general criteria would be the most commonly searched on pieces of information, like price and beds and baths, etc. But if you want to drill down to the amenity level, then you would go to the additional criteria. And here, because we're looking at residential listings, we have every single possible field you could possibly search on. Okay? So that's how you would drill down to the amenity level. Okay? Let's go back to the oh, you want to do it from here? Okay, let's look for kitchen features. Now, we could scroll all the way through looking for kitchen features, but I'm going to show you a quick way to find it. If you do Control F, that's a find command. If you hold down the Control key and click the letter F, it will open up a box, a search box. Now, if you use a Mac, it would be Command F. By the way, this is not a Rapattoni command. This is a browser command. You can do this on any web page. If you hit Control F, it will open up a search, and whatever you type in there, the browser will find a match. Anything that matches that, the browser will take you right to it. So you can do this on Amazon or Zillow or anything. The Control F works everywhere. Control F.
Control F.
Yeah. So here's our kitchen features. So we're just going to show you how you can drill down. So on an amenity level, let's say that my client is interested in Korean countertops. So there's an include and an exclude option besides each of these choices. So we're going to include Korean countertops. She'd also like a center island, so we'll include that. But they don't want a galley type kitchen, so we'll exclude that. And that takes us to 75 listings. What Mackenzie has just done there is called an OR search, an either or search. So what the system is telling us is those 75 listings have either Korean and granite countertops, they may have a center island, and they may also be marked as not being a galley type. It's an OR search. If I want listings that have all three, I definitely want a center island, I definitely want Korean countertops, and I do not want a galley, I want to turn that into an AND search. And to do that, you click on this little box up here that says Require All Checked. When you do that, you've turned it into an AND search, and it's brought us down to 16 listings. So now I know that all of those listings have Korean countertops, a center island, and are not galley. Okay, so that's how that works. Let's uncheck those. Now, I just want to show you something. If we go back to the general criteria tab. If you're doing cross-property type searches, everything we looked at there were amenities related to residential listings. Let's say I do residential and multifamily. So I'll check off two different property types there. You'll notice that the additional criteria went away because the additional criteria is property type specific. So when you're doing cross-property type searches, you are going to be limited to what we would call the common fields. Okay? So just be aware of that. All right. Yeah, let's run a search. So when you put in, before you do that, I just want to point something out. So when you put in all your search criteria, now you want to see the search results. If you look at the blue bar up here, this is what we call the action bar. This lets us know what we can do while we're on this page. In this particular case, we're on a search criteria page. We can run a search. We can take the results of this and view it on a map. We can export the results. We can look at statistics, and we can save this search. So for now, what I want to do is just run the search. So we're going to click on search and get the results. And you'll notice now that we're on the results page, you have a lot more options. Okay, so your actions will change depending on where you are. So just be aware of that. Now that we're on a results page, it's saying, well, what do you want to do with these listings? You can run reports, you can do an email. So just keep an eye on that blue bar. It tells you what you can do. All right, this is your default display. So when you run a search, this is what it's going to come up with. This is customizable, but I'll just explain a few things here. When you're looking at this list, it gives some very basic information, and then on the right you have these icons. These are quick links to other pieces of information about this property. So if you hover over a link, the very first one, it tells you its property history. So if I click that button, it's going to take me to the property history for this particular listing. The next one over is the tax. So if I click there, it'll bring up the tax record for this property. Next one over is the map. That tells me two things. Number one, it could be mapped. And if I click on it, it'll actually take me to the map with it plotted. If you don't see a map, see there's no map here, for some reason that particular property does not have the correct longitude and latitude. The system couldn't map it. If you see a camera, it means there's at least one picture attached. The next one over tells you whether there's virtual media or not, and again, if I wanted to view it, I just click it. And the last item, the paper clip, lets me know that there are attached documents. The attached documents that show here would be viewable, would be the viewable documents. So if you've attached a listing agreement to your listing, other people cannot see that. They're only going to be able to see what's considered viewable by other people, just in case you're worried about that. All right, so what can we do with this view? That's the default view. Mackenzie is pointing up to the fact that there are several flavors of display and you can switch between them. So for example, we have a map view. If you wanted to see all these listings plotted on a map, you would switch to the map view. We've also created grids to try and mimic what you were used to seeing on Matrix. So we have a licensee CMA single line and and a regular single line. So we tried to give you some options. So if you wanted to change to a different display, you simply highlight it, press enter, and it will re-display the listings in that new look and feel. Now, with any of these grids, you have other things you can do. So let's say you really like, this display is fine, except you really wish that the area was in front of the address. You can move columns around. Simply grab the column title with your mouse, grab it, and then drop it where you want it, and it will move the column. Okay? And if you leave it like that, it'll always have that column in that position. Okay? So the system will remember anything you've done. You can also expand and collapse the columns. So like, you know, this is, maybe you want to just squeeze this down a bit. You can, if you click on that, you can expand and collapse just if you want to squeeze them, okay? That's just optional. Another thing you can do, which is really cool, is you can group by. So we've got 192 listings here, and I would love to see those listings organized by area. So to do that, I'm going to grab the area column, and if you drag it up and put it in this section of the grid and just drop it, it will now group those listings by area. It's a little hard to see, but it's telling us we have 3 of those listings are in Avenel, 3 of them are in Carteret, etc. So now you're grouping by area. And you can group by up to 3 columns. So let's grab bedrooms and stick it up there as well. So now it's grouping by bedrooms within area. So of those 3 Avenel listings, 1 of them is a 3-bedroom house and 2 of them are 4-bedroom houses. So that's kind of useful. And you can do up to 3 if you wanted to then group it by bathrooms, you could. If you leave it like this, the next time you run a search, that's how it's going to present the listings. If you don't want the grouping anymore, you can get rid of the grouping by just clicking the X at the top, and it will go away. Okay, so let's get them. So let's see, what else can you do? So generally speaking, you've got your set of listings. You're probably going to be working with your listings. So let's check off a few listings, and then we'll show you what the rest of the stuff is. There is a little bar here which we call the display options. The very first button there is revise criteria. So if I come here, there's 192 listings, I want to narrow that down again. If I click that button, it'll just take me back to that standard search, and then I could further refine my search. The next one over is the view criteria. I can't remember what it was I searched on. If I click there, it'll just show me, by the way, this is what you searched on to get to these listings. Next option over is the show. So we've checked off a few listings. There's a show and a remove button side by side. These are designed to help you when you're working with listings, because generally speaking, maybe you're vetting these for your client, and you're going in and you're checking them, and then you say, yeah, that one's a good one, don't want that one, etc. You can use the show button to get rid of either the checked or the unchecked. So I'm going to say, show me checked only. So when Mackenzie does that, it hid all the unchecked ones, and now it's just showing me the ones I've gone through already, okay? I've checked them. And you'll notice that it's displaying this in a bright blue color now. It's doing that to remind you that, by the way, something's hidden here, just so you don't forget. And if you want to bring them back, you just click on the show button again, uncheck that, and they'll all come back. Now, the remove button works the same way, except instead of hiding it, it removes them completely. And when you remove them completely, the only way you're going to get them back is you'd have to rerun the search again. Okay? So just keep that one in mind. It can be handy when you're working with listings. You can also change the sort if you click the next button there. We won't go into that in too great a detail, but basically you have a default sort, and I'll show you how you can change that if you want. But when you're looking at a set of listings, you can change the sort on the fly if you want. The next button over is the Customize Grid. I'll get to that momentarily, but before we go there, let's click on the last button. This is the Statistics button. So if you click here, it'll give you a little summary of statistics. Because we're trainers. Are there any questions while I'm waiting for her to log in again? No? Yes?
I can't figure out how you choose the area you want.
Oh, okay, that's easy. Okay, we'll show you real quick when we get in there. I think the VPN might be down. Let's try it. Basically, we'll show it in a minute. When you go in and when you click on that standard search or any of the searches, if you go down, there's an area field, and then to the right of it, there's a selection box, and you can just type it in. You couldn't find that on your... Okay, well, we'll go through. I don't know if you noticed when she was typing in Middlesex County, the field right below it was the area.
Oh.
And if you choose a county and then you go to the area field, it'll show you just the areas for that county, so it'll narrow it down for you. Okay. It looks like our VPN is down, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Can you just show for how to get in again?
Yes, we'll do that in a moment. Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, so you were saying how Remind is a new way to do like taxes and search for taxes and
Yes.
stuff. So, like with Realist, is that going to be like...
Realist is no longer available, right, Richard?
Realist will be taken away in about 15 to 20 days.
15.
Remind has been here for almost a year, actually a year this week.
Is it working now?
So we hope that you will have a chance to get into over the last year or so. If not, Remind is our preferred tax product for the next so many years coming up.
And is there like a course on Remind?
There are going to be new training classes on Remind coming up in the next couple of months. We've had many training classes over the last 9 months to a year. A lot of people attended, some people didn't, but yeah, they will be coming up as well.
Thank you.
Could you ask them to phone the office if they dropped our VPN? Something to do with this. just want to make sure that
Excuse me, if you're
Yeah.
in a search,
Uh-huh.
how do you get back to the criteria?
when you're on the search results,
I have the results.
you go to that view revised criteria button. It's the first black button that's there. If you click that, it takes you right back in.
And you can use the back button with the system, right?
You can, the back button will always take you back to the previous screen, but that's not always the one you want to use, because in some cases, depending on where you are in the MLS, you don't really want to go back, you're actually going forward. So a good example of that would be you're typing in your search criteria and you run a search. Taking you back may not necessarily take you back to where you want to go. You should always use the action buttons, okay? Sometimes it will, but not always.
That's the black bar or the blue bar?
Yeah. Sorry?
The action buttons are on the black bar or the blue bar?
Well, that's a good question. The action buttons are on the blue bar, but when you're on a set of listing results, you get a blue bar, and then below that there's the black buttons that refer to the grid, basically, and then you can go from there. Are we not?